All right, back in 2008, my wife and I had erected the fence behind me. And we live between two public schools, so we have a lot of kids walking back and forth to and from school. We've been experiencing, since 2008, a lot of vandalism. This year has been particularly bad. I've gone through all the proper channels to try to have the problem and the behavior corrected, and nothing seemed to be getting done. Finally, I had to just resort to standing out on the corner and to keep the kids in check. I hated those kids. I hated having to go out there. But God began to do something in me. I began to go out there and pray for the kids, for the schools, for the neighbors. I wasn't the only homeowner who was having issues. So God had me to pray for all the people involved. One kid in particular who was causing damage to our fence, God specifically had me pray for him. And over like 10 days, on a Sunday, after worship, we were greeting each other, and I turned around and that child is right behind me. I was so surprised to see him, and I think he was more surprised to see me. He told me to pray for this one child. He wanted to show me that he is so eager to move on our behalf if we would just take up the mantle and pray. If we would just seek heaven, we should pray about everything. And I'm beginning to understand that God is so eager to move on our behalf, but we have to pray. Now when I go to the corner of my property to watch the kids go by, I look forward to going out there to pray. It doesn't just change the circumstance, it changes your heart, your attitude. And that's what he did for me. He changed the way I see the whole circumstance, that we would be a light in this neighborhood to our neighbors and for people who live and walk by here. So you have to understand that what I'm understanding is that God has a mandate of prayer because he wants to move on the behalf of what we're praying for, but he also wants to move on our hearts and change us on the inside. And I definitely know that God is changing me every time I seek his face, every time I go to prayer, and I pray in faith. I pray in faith that he's going to move, and he has changed me. He's changed my compassion. He changed my hatred for these kids and my hatred for these schools to compassion and love for them.